the good life, full of fun.
Hey guys, welcome to my kitchen. Another big exciting day in my kitchen. This is the Cucina kitchen. We are in Vico del Gargano, Italy. It's in Puglia. So if you think of Italy, right along the heel and up along that east coast, that's the Puglia region. Tends to make the best olive oil, has some of the best beaches, most beautiful views in the world. And we're in Villa La Castagnola di Borio, which is the villa on the hill of chestnuts of the family of Borio. So I want to bring you a great recipe. It's specific and authentic to this region, and it's a caprese salad with fried capers and basils. Now some of you may sit there and go, well, wait a minute, I thought caprese salad came from the island of Capri, which it did. It was inspired from the island of Capri. But as many of you know, as recipes work their way across Italy, or certainly Europe, depending on what ingredients were most prominent in that area, were most abundant, a lot of times you'll interchange some of those ingredients. So capers and basil, very, very popular here, and they would fry a lot. They didn't have refrigeration and such, so sometimes the basil or other foods would actually start to go on the end. We're not quite spoiled, but get to that verge, so they would cook things with hot oil. So we're gonna fry some capers and we're gonna fry some basil. Now the other thing that's really neat is caprese salad traditionally is going to use a mozzarella cheese, right, which is great. So I've got that. I've got the buffalo mozzarella, right, buffalo mozzarella, which they would have here in Italy. And if you can't get that, then you can just get the cow's, mozzarella, no problem. But this is ricotta cheese, okay? Now this is the ricotta here from this region, and it's actually a buffalo ricotta cheese. So fantastic to have that here. A lot of times you can't get that, so just get the regular ricotta if you can, okay? Or as we say in New York, ricotta, right? So absolutely delicious. So we've got some ricotta cheese, we've got some mozzarella cheese, gonna be fantastic. And I've got about 6 to 7 slices of each of those cheeses. Nothing's better than cheeses out of Italy or France or Spain or what have you. So fantastic. So I've got about 10 slices of cheese, formaggio, in total, okay, so the ricotta and the mozzarella, okay? And I got about 4 tomatoes here. Now, depending on size, the tomatoes I grabbed right from our garden this morning, so absolutely fantastic. We're gonna slice those up. I've got capers here. Now I've got about 2.5 tablespoons of capers. I rinsed them off. They'll come in a jar. They're packed typically with salt as a preservative. So just rinse them off. If they're really salty for you, you can soak them in a little milk for maybe an hour in the refrigerator, pull them back out, and the milk will actually leach out a little bit more of the salt for you. So that's great. We got fresh ground pepper, we've got some salt. Now I also got some basil, or basilica as they call it here in Italy, and I'll tell you, oh man, that is fantastic. So when I went up to the shop, one of my favorite little guys up there, he actually, they bag it for you. And I'll show you how to prep that in a minute. So what I want to do here is I want to prep everything first, because when I cook it in the hot oil, the capers and the basil, that literally takes a couple of minutes. So I'm going to pull that off the heat, and then I'm going to assemble it. So I'm going to go ahead and slice up the tomato. Now I'm going to just come across the back. Right now I'm going to keep that, and then I'm going to come across the front. I'm just going to get rid of the input there of your stem, right? So now I've got my tomato, and I'm going to go about 1/4 inch. You don't want to go too thick because you don't want too much, if you will, to chew in your mouth. You don't want to add any salt to this because it's going to leach out all your liquid until you're ready to serve it, okay? So never salt your caprese or any type of tomato product for that matter until you're ready to go. Tomatoes are done, all right? So now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and get our basil. So I got 14 pieces. So I'm going to pull some of my basil out, and then what I want here is I want some good leaves. So I'll pull 14 of these out. So basil set. Oh boy, I'll tell you, that smells good right there. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to get the olive oil, the capers, and the basil right over to the stove. We're going to start frying. Just a quick safety tip, we got hot oil here. So anytime you put anything away, always try to put it away from yourself. Don't get any of your clothes or anything near it, and just step away a little bit from that hot oil. That way if anything comes back and you, God forbid, it's not going to splatter you or burn you, especially you or the kids, okay? So I'm going to start cooking our capers first, and then I'm going to start cooking our basil. All right, the oil's hot, remember? So I got my capers. So again, just step back a little bit. You're going to get a little splatter. You get a little screen popping right over the top. So we only want about 30 seconds, 40 seconds with these. Then I'm going to put the basil right in on top. So what I'm going to do is just slowly, and you're going to watch it, it's going to change its shape a little bit. So get it as flat in there as you can. I got my plate with paper towels there. I got a couple of forks. Oh, I'll tell you, the smell in here, unbelievable. So we're looking for crisp. See how it's still wilting there? What we want here is a crisp. So we're going for almost a little texture. So a couple of these are done. So anything that's done, I'm just gonna pull out and pop on my paper towel. You know, so if these, once you see them getting crisp, they're done. Oh, it smells good in here. So we're done. Heat's off. I'm gonna pull the rest of my basil off. And then I just wanna get the rest of those capers out. So, same idea. Oh, those are perfect. All right, guys, everything's out of the oil. What do you say we go put this thing together? So what I like to do is alternate. So I'm gonna do one piece of ricotta cheese, and then I'm gonna do one piece of the mozzarella cheese. So I'm just gonna alternate the cheeses. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put my basil in. So I'm just gonna slip that in, and you're gonna see how nice and crisp it is? And what's nice is it changes the flavor, and it also gives you a different texture. Now the first thing I wanna do before I put the capers on is I wanna put some olive oil. So I'm gonna drizzle some olive oil on it. Now one of the reasons you do that is because that'll stick to the tomatoes. I don't know if I told you, I'm using Vito and Joe's, best olive oil in the world. You can get it right online. Yeah, that's a shameless plug. All right, and then what I wanna do is I'm gonna use my capers. Doesn't that look fantastic? And it just changes your texture. Man, that is fantastic. And then I wanna hit some pepper, fresh ground, a couple of grinds, and then I wanna hit a little bit of salt. I like the bigger salt, a little kosher salt on this. Give it a little different look. Beautiful. Is that fantastic or what? All right, what do you say we serve? So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the one on top, just because it's easier to get to, okay? And then I wanna make sure I get a couple of capers with it. All right, what do you say here? Everything tastes better in Italy anyway, so. So I've got a piece of that basil with the tomato and some of those capers. Oh boy, that was good. It's nice, it gives you that texture, and there's a little bit more kick to the basil in a different way, and the capers, because they're fried. And they give you that little burst of salt right in the end. Oh my God. Man, I wish I could take this thing and just like cut a piece of it and push it right through the camera to you guys. I'll tell you, just the smell in the kitchen alone, in the cucina with the basil and the capers, you know, it just fills the whole kitchen with that beautiful smell. So it's so aromatic. And then immediately when you start to put this together and eat it almost instantly, I mean, it's so fresh, you can't beat it. So certainly try to prep it that way in your kitchen if at all possible. Guys, thanks so much for joining me here in Vico del Gargano, Italy, in my kitchen, my cucina. I so greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to grab yourself a bottle of olive oil on our Facebook, on our Amazon, or right on our webpage. Don't forget to shut off the TV and shut off the electronics, and spend some time with your kids, and let your kids spend some time with you and get to know each other, set those traditions, celebrate that heritage. It's such an honor to bring you my recipes and what I love about Italy. Until next week, guys, buon appetito.
A good life, full of fun, seems